look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp with you, Dwayne Colucci at the bottom of the hour. Las Vegas is going to be hopping. The NCAA tournament starts tonight. We got basketball in the NCAA tournament. We got basketball in the NIT tonight. We got Pels and Lakers in the Victor Bowl, or what I'm calling our last best shot at Victor. Honestly, I almost don't know who to root for. Just kidding, Mario. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. LSU baseball tonight, final non-conference game before they play Texas A&M. So with all of that basketball and baseball, we are starting with football. This news broke on Friday, but I guess it became official yesterday as the end of the free agency period, tampering period if you want, started. And the Saints, involved in a number of moves, mostly guys going out, but at least one guy coming in. And the one guy coming in, again, this news broke on Friday about Jameis Winston. Winston signed, or is going to sign, a 1-year, $4 million contract. This is potentially worth as much as $8 million if certain incentives are met. The Saints could have cut him, saved about $4.4 million. If they had waited until after June 1st, they'd have saved about $12.8. But, of course, they need the money now. And so instead, they decided to redo a deal with Jameis Winston. Before I start here, let me just tell you that I think Jameis Winston is still a competent quarterback in the NFL if he's healthy, which is certainly no sure thing. And the Saints are certainly in need of a backup quarterback. And, well, Winston speaks the language. He's been in New Orleans for 3 years. So in a vacuum, I would say, oh, here's a guy that needs a job. Here's a team that needs a quarterback. Let's go. But it's not in a vacuum, man. If I could sit the two sides down, if I could sit Mickey Loomis and Jameis Winston down separately and have them promise to tell the truth, I would just ask them one question. Why? Why are you doing this? It's not because the Saints don't need a backup quarterback, and it's not because Winston can't play. It's because of what has transpired the last 3 years with Jameis Winston. The Saints have gone out of their way, over and above, bent over backwards to do everything they can to find somebody besides Jameis Winston to play quarterback. Now, look, this was a good idea when it started. They brought Jameis Winston in 2020, which was going to be Drew Brees' last year. Everybody knew it. Winston was looking to rehab his career. He spends a year on the practice field, in the film room, in the meeting room with Brees, with Sean Payton, and you see if this then 27-year-old quarterback has still got, what it takes. And, the early returns were okay. Winston was in better shape. He certainly put his off-the-field troubles behind him. It's like, okay, this might work. And then you got the first glimpse of what would be many of what the Saints really thought of Jameis Winston when Drew Brees got hurt. In the San Francisco game, they bring Jameis Winston into the game. He finishes the game. Nothing great, nothing terrible. And then the second the clock hit zero, they ran Taysom Hill down to the quarterback room. They would rather have a tight end playing quarterback than Winston, who they had brought in specifically for this purpose, and that lasted for 4 games, okay? So they, Brees finishes out the season, of course. He retires, so you're going into year 2. Well, is Jameis Winston ready to take over the starting quarterback? Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll put Taysom Hill back out there. Like they hadn't seen Taysom Hill enough. And I like Taysom Hill. I don't want to rag on Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's a terrific football player. He can play some quarterback, but as a full-time starting quarterback in the NFL, I think we're in agreement. No, that ain't going to work. So they go into this quarterback competition, and Winston wins it. They put him out there, gritting their teeth, I'm sure. 7 games worth, those 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The Saints are 5-2. And then he got hurt. Bummer. So you go into year 3, and you're like, well, Winston's coming, and now Peyton's gone. Winston's coming back on another short-term contract, and you figure, well, okay, now he's going to be the starting quarterback. This is his job. Taysom Hill's back in the tight end room full time. That experiment is over. They're gonna let Taysom Hill be the starting quarterback. except they did everything they could to get Deshaun Watson. Hey, we got Jameis Winston here, but let's go get Deshaun Watson. Well, you know Deshaun Watson's going to be suspended. Yeah, we don't care. You know Deshaun Watson's going to cost us probably 3 first-round picks. Yeah, we don't care. You know, we're going to have to guarantee Deshaun Watson somewhere between $150 and $200 million with legal problems hanging over his head for we don't know how long. Yeah, we don't care. We'd rather have him than Jameis Winston. And Watson is a better quarterback than Jameis Winston. I'm certainly not making that argument. And if it wouldn't have been for Cleveland falling out their tree and giving Deshaun Watson 100% guarantee on his contract, Deshaun Watson might have been a New Orleans Saint, which would have pushed Jameis Winston out the door once and for all. But no, Watson signed with Cleveland, and the Saints signed Andy Dalton to be a reasonable backup. Good move. Here's a vet. He's a pro. He's not going to raise any waves. He can play in a pinch. Winston's our quarterback. That lasted for 2 games. And then he got hurt. And then they went to Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton started for 10 games. And the Saints, when Andy Dalton was finished with those 10 games, were 4-9. Dalton threw for over 250 yards twice in those 10 games. One of those was a particularly high statistical game against Arizona in which he threw for 360 yards and 6 touchdowns. 2 of the touchdowns were to Arizona, but still. And at 4-9, going into the bye with 4 games to go, and if you're Dennis Allen at that point, you got to say, is my job on the line? And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Only Gail Benson knows for sure. But he certainly couldn't have been, thinking, wow, look how great things are going. With a chance now to put a healthy Jameis Winston back in the lineup with his job on the line, and Dennis Allen said, nope, we'll stay with Andy Dalton. And amazingly, they won 3 of the last 4 games. Again, Dalton is what Dalton is. He's an okay backup quarterback at this point in his career. So over 3 years, the Saints have gone to so many different avenues to keep from even looking real hard at Jameis Winston. It is obvious. They don't like him enough to be their starting quarterback. They don't trust him enough to be their starting quarterback. I mean, they put Trevor Siemian out there, for crying out loud. I know Winston was hurt when Siemian played, but my point is that after Winston got hurt, you had Taysom Hill, you had Trevor Siemian, you had Ian flipping Book out there, and decided, nah, man, we really don't want to go with Jameis Winston. We'd like to try to find something else. So now you're in a situation where you don't have to sign Jameis Winston again. You've got your starting quarterback. You really don't have to worry all that much because Carr's been pretty durable. You could save money by cutting him. No, they decide to bring him back. Now, that's the Saints side. Why Jameis Winston would want to go back to New Orleans is beyond me. At the age of 29, where the organization has, I just documented the whole thing. None of that is my opinion. All of that is fact. I don't care what you say. We love Jameis Winston. No, you don't. You would rather hail a taxi cab on Poydras Street and ask the driver if he played the position in high school than put Jameis Winston out there. But you signed him again. Why Winston would want to go back and put himself in through this again at age 29 when presumably he's still got a lot of quarterback life left to him and maybe be a starting quarterback somewhere else? I don't know. Maybe Jameis Winston's washed up. Maybe the back injury is the last thing that's going to, prevent him from ever being the type of quarterback they thought he could be when he was the number 1 overall pick. But wouldn't you go to Washington to find out if you could beat out Sam Howell? Wouldn't you go to Indianapolis and say, hey, I'll keep the seat warm until whoever you guys draft. Maybe it'll be 4 games. Maybe it'll be 6 games. Maybe it'll be a season. I'll see if I can turn some heads. Wouldn't you go to Houston and keep the seat warm for whoever they draft? Can you beat out Davis Mills? Wouldn't you go to Arizona and say, listen, you guys can't count on Kyler Murray to be ready for the season opener. He might not be back till Thanksgiving. Let me hold the fort down until then. Let me show you what I can do until your quarterback gets back. And at this time last week, I would have included the Panthers and the Falcons in this situation as well. But none of that happened. He decided to go back to New Orleans on a $4 million deal. He ain't going to get the $8 million. Derek Carr plays every week. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but he plays every week. So wouldn't you go somewhere where you thought you might be able to play? Oh, I know what you're thinking. Maybe there's no market for Jameis Winston, and I hear you. But Taylor Heineke signed a deal for $20 million yesterday. Is Taylor Heineke better than Jameis Winston at this point? Anyone? Bueller?
I don't think so.
He may be better than Winston right now because I don't know what shape Winston's back is in, but he ain't 2.5 times better than Winston. There's other jobs out there. This doesn't make any sense to me. The Saints clearly don't trust Jameis Winston, and Winston, I think, would have had better options somewhere else. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe his agent called him and said, they offered you $4 million. You better take it. There ain't another offer out there. And maybe that's the back, and maybe that's something else. All right. Marcus Davenport headed to Minnesota on a one-year deal for $13 million. This guy couldn't get out of New Orleans fast enough for my liking. Never mind that the Saints gave up a king's ransom to get him. Never mind that for the first 4 seasons of his NFL career, he missed an entire season's worth of games. Essentially, the Saints got 3 for 4 out of Marcus Davenport. No. The reason that Marcus Davenport can't get out of town fast enough for my liking is that being healthy is no longer his problem. He played 15 out of 17 games last year. He had half a sack. He had 2 tackles for loss in 15 games. He had exactly half a sack more than my grandfather. My grandfather's been dead 40 years. You going to give this cat $13 million? Why?
The half a sack was against the Vikings.
Oh.
Just to point out.
Is that the only film we've got to go on?
Yeah, I mean, he
guess
made
so.
an impression is what you're saying.
Yes, apparently.
Careful of those. We got to have this player. Man, we got it. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care how many draft picks. We got to have this player. That guy better be Patrick Mahomes. That guy better be Joe Burrow. I mean, he better be Trevor Lawrence. He better be Justin Herbert. He better be Josh Allen. Because when you fall in love with a guy like this, and that's what drives me crazy about the Saints when they draft in the first round. Not so much the later rounds, but in the first round. We got to have this guy. Man, it's going to really cost. We're going to have to overpay to move. I don't care. Move up. Marcus Davenport only slightly better than the Sean Knight trade that they made years ago. I don't have time to get into Sean Knight. Lost David Onyemata yesterday. This one hurt, but this is a clear case of salary cap deal on him. He had a good year last year. He had 5 sacks. He had 43 tackles. He's 30 years old. He plays every game. I mean, he had the suspension for the deal in 21 where he was a little bit slow. And I didn't think he was quite as good last year as he was in 18 through 20, but he was still a pretty good player. But $35 million and 24 guarantees out of Saints price range. Shy Tuttle to me was a more disturbing hit that he signed a 3-year deal for about $6.5 million per year. Tuttle's only 27 years old. He's entering what should be his prime. He's played a little under 50% of the snaps for New Orleans the last 2 years. Last year, 49 tackles, 2 sacks in 49% of the snaps. I was hoping that at this age, with an opportunity to play more, that Shy Tuttle would take the next step, and maybe he will, but he's going to do it somewhere else. Right now, the Saints do not have a defensive tackle under contract that has played a game for them in the NFL, so that's a problem. Now, let's talk about market. We're starting to see the market shake out a little bit. Jimmy Garoppolo going to Las Vegas. Derek Carr knows a little bit about playing in Las Vegas. So, Derek Carr, 3-year contract with the Raiders would have cost him $116 million, $40 million guaranteed. Garoppolo's deal cost him $72 million, $33 million and change guaranteed. When you look at what they're paying for Jimmy Garoppolo on guaranteed contracts, they're paying him 84% of what they would have paid Derek Carr. The cap hit next year is 47% of what it would have cost him for Carr, $34 million to $16 million. Let's split the difference between that. What the guarantee is and what the cap hit is. It's 66%. It's a really convenient number because that's about the same amount of snaps that Jimmy Garoppolo plays as compared to Derek Carr. Plays about 2/3 to 70% of the time. Oh, don't take my word for it. Not my opinion. The last 6 years, Derek Carr's played 95 games. Jimmy Garoppolo's played 67%. About 70%. Their completion percentages are very common. But these two guys, who are the same age, came into the league in the same year. Derek Carr has thrown for 21,000 more yards, 130 more touchdowns, and has won more games. So the Saints did better, right? It's a little misleading. Jimmy Garoppolo entered the league as Tom Brady's backup. Tough to get work there. Carr entered the league for a bad team, was immediately thrust into the starting lineup. His raw numbers are supposed to be more. But you're getting roughly the same quarterback. But with Derek Carr, you get him, based on what they've done so far, you get him all the time. Jimmy Garoppolo, you get about 2/3 of the time. Guess which one I want? And if Derek Carr had said, no, thank you, I'm going to play for the Jets or somebody else, I would have probably taken a long look at Jimmy Garoppolo. Good quarterback when he plays, just doesn't play all the time. Free agency continues. See, I could have led you on with that thing with Carr and Garoppolo. I could have, I know how to make an argument. I can, I can do repetition, right? I can do the floating opposites where, hey, Carr wants to be in New Orleans with the coach he wants to be with, doesn't want to be in Las Vegas. Garoppolo wants to be in Las Vegas with the coach he wants to be with and doesn't want to be in New Orleans. See, you do the opposite there. And then you end with the one that's not like the other. Derek Carr plays more games. But essentially, they're the same quarterback. Just only about 2/3 of the time. We'll take a break. Will Wade, the new coach at McNeese, had some interesting things to say. I want to talk about that when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Sky, I've got that sunshine.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. We'll preview LSU UNO from the box and the latest on the Saints NFL free agency moves. Join us for Tuesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Some more news that broke on Friday that became official yesterday was Will Wade being introduced as a new head basketball coach at McNeese. We touched on this a little bit on Friday, and yesterday we did basketball stuff with the NCAA. So the press conference was going on while we were actually doing the show, so we didn't have a chance to touch on this yesterday. I want to get it today. Will Wade on McNeese doing, this is LSU related, okay? Let me, before we go to the clip, this is not me making a case for Will Wade to come back to LSU. For the record, I wish that Will Wade had not had to leave LSU. It was an exciting brand of basketball. He recruited at a high level. LSU basketball was relevant in a way that it had not been relevant over the course of a 4-year period since Dale Brown was in his heyday. So, yes, would I rather be sitting here talking about a first-round LSU basketball game than what the hell they're going to do after going 2-16? Yes. Do I understand why the administration did what they did? I do. Would I have done the same thing? I don't have as much information as them. All I'm telling you is, yes, I wish that they were preparing for a first-round NCAA playoff tournament game, which they did during most of Will Wade's tenure, rather than preparing for the offseason after a 2-16 record in league play. Will Wade is not coming back to LSU. That is not what this is about. This is not about fire Matt McMahon. This is more about what I think about what the NCAA is going to do. So, with that, Will Wade on McNeese doing due diligence.
Can't really touch on the process because it's still ongoing. I will say, when you look at the totality of some of the other rulings thus far, I think with the the university did an unbelievable amount of due diligence. Unbelievable amount, meeting with attorneys, all sorts of folks. I think they're, you never know what's going to happen, and we can't comment because it's ongoing. But certainly, I think we're, we're excited about the future here.
Not a single coach that was ensnared in this whole thing was fired because of the investigation, other than Will Wade. Sean Miller was not fired because of the investigation in Arizona. He was fired because he was losing. Bruce Pearl is still coaching. Bill Self is still coaching. Mike Gottfried was still coaching before he got sick. Everybody that was touched by this thing, Rick Pitino, that was a whole different thing. That did not have to do with this nearly as much as it had to do with other things. Everybody's coaching, okay? Southie, somebody tweeted this out yesterday. I don't remember who it was, or I'd give them credit. It was like, hey, league brought Hugh Freeze back in. League brought Bobby Petrino back in. Bruce Pearl still coaching in the league. They said, Bruce Pearl, come in and tell us what you know. Bruce Pearl told him to go to hell. Okay. But I digress. My point is that Will Wade is saying the same thing that we've been saying for quite some time now, which is the NCAA is not doing anything. What did they do to Auburn? Bruce Pearl sat out a game against, I don't know, Texas A&M Corpus Christi and against Norfolk State. Bill Self still coaching. Kansas was so shook up about this, they gave him a lifetime contract. Sean Miller got fired at Arizona for losing, not for cheating. Immediately got his old job back. Okay. My point is that McNeese went through whatever due diligence that Wade is talking about and came away convinced, satisfied enough that the NCAA is not going to do anything. I'll be honest with you. I've gone on a roller coaster with this thing. When Will Wade was fired at LSU, I didn't think there was any chance in hell that he was going to avoid a show cause, and now I'd be surprised if he got one. Without a show cause, any coach's penalties are toothless. What are you going to do, fine him? Who cares? Some booster's going to pick up the freight. You're going to tell him he's going to restrict it in recruiting? Who cares? He's got NIL. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't call for 2 weeks. Here's $250,000. Where do I sign? I mean, all of this stuff is so irrelevant now. But from LSU's standpoint, it's actually encouraging. If McNeese doesn't think that Will Wade is going to get hit, then they can't possibly think that LSU is going to get hit, at least not with anything of any substance. What was the last one? Was Oklahoma State got a postseason ban? They waited until Cade Cunningham was gone to give them the postseason ban, but they gave it to him. Weren't going to make the tournament anyway. Auburn took their one-year postseason ban when they weren't going to make the tournament. Hell, LSU should call the NCAA right now and say, we'll take a postseason ban next season because we ain't going to make it anyway. It's an empty locker room probably as soon as week after next. And if it's full with the guys that were here, they ain't going to make the NCAA tournament anyway. Give it to them. Is that what's holding up the show here? That LSU doesn't want a one-year NCAA tournament probation? Hell, take 3. Ain't anywhere close to going back to the NCAA tournament. But it's encouraging that McNeese has done all of this legwork and decided, hey, you know what? Ain't nothing there. Oh, there's a tape. Tape cost Will Wade his job. He'll be hearing damn strong offer jokes until the day they plant him. But he's got a job. He's working. And here's the other thing. Will Wade thinks that he can start winning immediately at McNeese. That means recruiting.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't come here if I didn't think we could win and win immediately. I mean, that's what we're here to do. That's what everybody expects. When you make an investment like McNeese has made in basketball, and part of the we're gonna have the highest paid coaching staff in the Southland. All right, so I mean that's a huge investment, and so. That stuff is, you don't do that. We're all expecting a quick turnaround. Right. That's the short answer. They are, I am, anybody who comes here to play for us is like, yes, we have confidence that we can do that.
New building is nice. High paid coaching staff is wonderful, but you got to have players. If Wade is talking about winning immediately, and Jimmy Ott has told a story enough times about when he and I met with Wade when Wade first got the job, and I said, listen, you double the amount of wins next year from 2 to 4, you'll have done a good job. And he looked at me like I had cabbages growing out of my head. I ain't winning 4 games next year, and he didn't. He thinks he can go get players right now. I wouldn't bet against him. So if he thinks he can go get players right now, it means that he can go out there and have parents, high school coaches, and the players themselves ask the question, hey, what about the investigation? And he's got an answer. At least he thinks he does. We'll see how this goes in the next month, but I wouldn't bet against him. In other words, if Will Wade goes out and lands a reasonable recruiting class here after McNeese makes this financial commitment to him, and he does it all in the span of 30, 45, 60 days, then I want to know why the hell LSU can't go out and recruit. Please tell me. Oh, the probation's hanging over our head. That's been a convenient excuse for going on, a year now. Well, the guy that you fired got another job. If the guy that you fired starts signing players, and I imagine he will, then I need to know why you're not doing the same thing. And please, a little bit better than what you did the last time. I understand. You got your mulligan, okay? Last year was tough. Probation hanging over your head. Nobody knew what that meant at the time. We know a lot better now. Fine. Came into an empty locker room, had to start from scratch. Okay. Excuses are over. Get your ass out on the road and start recruiting. That's it. I mean, everybody else is moving on. I would like for the NCAA. Look, the NCAA's got no class, all right? They're dragging this thing out as long as they can on purpose. But there is ample evidence, and growing by the day, they ain't going to do nothing. And if they are going to do something, come in and do it. Dock them 2 scholarships. Like I said, there was a time where I was actually worried about this NCAA thing, the NCAA tournament ban. Oh, man, if they tell them they can't play in the NCAA tournament next year, they're not going to be able to recruit. I'm not worried about that anymore. First of all, LSU's not going to make the NCAA tournament next year, so I really don't care that much about that. And the rest of these schools have proven that they can recruit around the probation, so it's time LSU start doing that. Pronto. Take a break. Dwayne Colucci, when we come back here, we'll talk about the NCAA tournament. It's getting underway, starting tonight. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Had a great buying experience just a couple of weeks ago, one of quite a few we've had at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Right now, Infinity of Baton Rouge wants to buy your vehicle from you. You can get a quote in less than 15 minutes of exactly what your vehicle is worth. Then you can either sell it to them outright, you can trade it in on another model, or if you just want the quote and you decide not to do anything right then, there's no pressure for you to buy. The Certified Pre-Owned program, to me, is without peer, because when you talk about a vehicle where you're going to save some money, where it's been through an inspection that with the mileage and age requirements is going to qualify it for a 6-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty with a year prepaid maintenance and roadside assistance, I just don't think that you can beat that deal. Huge amount of inventory on the lot right now and a really friendly atmosphere, transparency, and pricing. It's going to be a very simple and very comfortable buying experience for you. That's why we go back time and time again to Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new.
Jimmy out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson. That's Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. We're going to have picks up for you on the podcast the next 2 days on the Handycast, again, 1045ESPN.com. Let's bring in our friend Dwayne Colucci from the South Point and the Rampart. Man, look, we like to talk hockey, but hockey's going to have to take the week off, Colucci, because we got too much college basketball this week to get to. So I know you guys are ready. I saw you running one of the many promotions you guys are going to be running this week at the South Point and the Rampart. So what's first? What's first on the Colucci checklist when it comes to starting the NCAA tournament?
Well, I like to look over the field, handicap some of these games, some of the teams that are hot going into the tournament. Naturally, I'm going to keep my eye on Hanny. But, it's a very difficult field this year, I'll be honest with you. You have so many good teams, whether it's Houston, whether it's Alabama. Duke is on this massive winning streak. This is a stacked field, and there is not one standout team, in my opinion. But, we did a great job, especially Chris and the boys. We put the lines up before anybody in Las Vegas. And, we took a few hits. The Sharps were definitely looking to see if we could slip up a bit. But I feel very comfortable now and looking forward to tonight as well as Thursday.
One of the things Jimmy and I were talking about last night is how much the favorites get a little bit less backing than they normally do in this first round of the NCAA tournament. And Colucci, man, we're looking at some of these 13 versus 4 lines and 12 versus 5 lines, and we're looking at lines of 5, 5.5, 4 in some cases with Indiana and Kent State. You guys have made this adjustment, obviously, but what goes into that thing? How much more action are you getting on underdogs in the first 2 days of the NCAA tournament than you would, say, on a regular college or NFL weekend?
Well, everybody loves the dogs barking, especially during the tournament, Charlie. So, we're definitely seeing a lot of underdog action. We're going to see some favorite action. UCLA, naturally, they're going to be a very popular pick. Arizona, they also have been bet up from 14 to 14.5. But most of the substantial line movement has come in the underdogs. Colgate against Texas. Texas opened 15 here at the Rampart and South Point. Now it's down to 13.5. So we're seeing a lot of dog action, and the public definitely loves an underdog. That. They love to ride them. You see Iowa also. They're taking some action. We opened Auburn 2.5. That game is down to 1. I look over this whole field, and a lot of dog action from the Sharps when we posted those lines on Sunday evening. But as it starts to get closer to the tournament, that's when we'll see a lot of people commuting from California, and you will have those backers on UCLA, teams like that, as well as St. Mary's, USC, whoever it is. So I think the favorite action will come in a little later, closer to Thursday and Friday, whereas the dogs were the initial reaction, from the Sharps. Even a team like Gonzaga bet way down. They're starting to bet Grand Canyon. I can't believe it. 17 now down to 15.5. So, yeah, a lot of dog action, Hanny.
You know, I love the NCAA tournament because it brings in all the people that are not usually college basketball fans, and then everybody gets in. They fill out a bracket, and then they're an expert. You know, people that couldn't have told you whether Colgate was a college or a toothpaste last week at this time are now filling out a bracket. They're ready to go. They're rooting. Everybody's got an opinion on this stuff, and a lot of times those brackets are won by people who didn't watch college basketball the entire season, but we watched plenty. Kaluch, who do you like, man? I mean, who do you look at and go, you know what, that's definitely a second weekend team, and that team's got a good shot to go to the Final Four outside of the one seeds. I mean, somebody that is not a one seed, you go, man, I really like how they're playing.
Yeah, well, right now Duke is playing top notch. I mean, 15-1 in their last 16 games, but you know they are playing an Oral Roberts team that is definitely capable of upsetting them. So you know that's a great matchup. I mean, I hate to say it, like you said, the one seed. I've been touting Alabama the whole year. I really think they're ultra impressive. Like I said, UCLA has done very little wrong in the Pac-12 as well. They look like they could definitely be a strong force. I like Marquette, to be honest with you. I think the backcourt is real strong. Vermont is a nice team, but I think Marquette is definitely going to handle them and, start to move further and further along in the tournament. And we're seeing underdog action in that game too, Charlie. I mean, we opened at 12. It's bet down to 11. The initial reaction was Vermont. But I think Marquette at 25-6 definitely is one of my sleeper picks in this tournament. I'll also look to possibly beat Gonzaga. I don't think they're as good as they have been in past years, so I'm going to keep my eye on that bracket. Creighton also, I think they're another team flying under the radar. And, I'm a connoisseur of the Big East naturally, keep my eye on that from my old school days. But I think two teams, definitely Marquette and Creighton, could definitely fly under the radar and get the job done here and move on into this, tournament.
Our friend Carl Johnson down at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi was telling us last night that their biggest liability is on Houston, but that's because Mattress Mac went in there and dumped $500,000 in there at 10-1. So they're sweating the Cougars a little bit. Where's the futures action been at the South Point and the Rampart? I don't imagine Mattress Mac's come in there, but you guys got plenty of action out there. So where is it on the futures market to win this whole thing?
Well, yeah, Houston was a solid pick the whole year, so we did, write a lot of tickets on Houston. Like I said, UCLA is definitely one of the liability teams. Arizona as well. We're seeing a lot of action in the futures market there. Alabama was consistently bet throughout the season, and then we started getting plied with Duke money, like I said, because of their fabulous record down the stretch. So a lot of different future liabilities, but, we're able to sustain because you have a lot of teams that were bet early on that didn't make the tournament, whether it was Rutgers who got snubbed, a team like that. They definitely took a lot of action.
North Carolina, huh? How much North Carolina action did you take in the preseason?
Well, we do always take a lot of Carolina action, especially, based on last year's performance. But that's what I'm talking about, how we offset with the futures liability. A team like UCLA, you already garnered the money on teams like you said, North Carolina, Rutgers. So we lock that up already, and then we go and move on.
Kind of, do you guys have like special parlays? Not special parlays, but some creative ways to bet this tournament, like multiple teams to make the Sweet 16. Just different ways that you can go in and parlay this thing, or multiple teams with double-digit seeds, or just anything that's a little bit quirky about how to bet the tournament.
Well, I know a lot of the other books, and, especially in other states like your state, they definitely offer a lot of different things, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, et cetera. We do have some special props. First team to score 15. I know Chris and Jimmy will put that up. Plus, we have some groupings as well. We also have the regions where you could bet the future. So, yeah, we like to put, a few props up there and make it fun for everybody. Tonight, we also have the First Four, so we're going to check that out, how these two matchups play out. So definitely it's a great feel here in Las Vegas, Charlie, when the tournament comes. You have people commuting from all over the United States. There's nothing like being in Las Vegas for this tournament, and it's going to be very exciting. I have a lot of clients coming in that are looking forward to it, and we'll put a spin on it. We'll have several options. Also, at the Rampart, we have a bad beat where anytime a lower seed beats a higher seed, Charlie, we draw a name, and you can win $100 in free slot play here at the Rampart. So that's always a lot of fun. Keeps the room packed. A lot of people rooting for those underdogs, and we like to promote and play off of that. So, we'll have several different options and ways to win.
You know, I've been to Vegas a number of times for the tournament. So maybe I take it for granted, and certainly you've been out there for many of these things. But for somebody who hasn't been to Las Vegas, and I know you can legalize sports gambling everywhere, but Vegas is still a mecca. What it's like on the opening 2 days of the NCAA tournament, because the games start at 9 a.m. Vegas time, but the book starts to fill up way before then.
Yeah, definitely the seats start to get taken, and, it's just a great feel. People are just anticipating, can't wait for them 9 a.m. tip-offs, like you said. They take place very early. They go throughout the course of the day, Charlie. So it's just tons of action, tons of excitement. People, like I said, from all across the country. We have a fabulous Marriott facility here, hotel, so it fills up. My book fills up quick. We have a 55-foot video wall, which I'll be firing the games up. It's just a lot of fun and a lot of excitement. And like you said, even the ladies, they come out. They enjoy the games, whether it's their alma mater or whatever. They definitely are betting, even if it's $5-10. So everybody is similar to the Super Bowl, wants to get involved, pick their, dark horse or whatever you want, and have fun with it.
And then they turn around after the first round games, and you say, why did you take that team? And they say, well, I took St. Peter's because I'm Catholic. Why did you take Kentucky? I don't know, because they're Kentucky. And, of course, St. Peter's wins the game. We got 4 games the next 2 nights, Kaluch. Two of these games are with the 11 seeds, so these are 3 power conference teams plus Nevada, who everybody was all upset with on Sunday because they didn't think that they should get in. You can kind of get in on that. And then 2 16-team matchups. Any of these 4 games that caught your attention that you're like, that looks like a pretty good value?
Well, the public's definitely steaming Mississippi State. I don't think Nevada should have been in there, so I definitely like Arizona State, especially how they played down the stretch. We're 2.5 at the Rampart in South Point on that game. That will be tomorrow night at 6:10. So I'm looking at Arizona State definitely. Nevada was, 22-9. We'll see how they play it out, but I definitely think Arizona State is the pick there. Like I said, tonight we're seeing a lot of Mississippi State action. We opened that at 1.5. We're up to 2.5 at the Rampart in South Point. Total of 133. So these are going to be excellent games. These play-in games. We'll see how they play out, but the excitement already starts tonight. 3:40 Las Vegas time and 5:40 your time there in Baton Rouge. I know everybody will be having fun and keeping their eye on these games.
Yeah, well, we got former LSU coach and Johnny Jones with Texas Southern tomorrow night. So in Mississippi State, we've seen a number of times. So obviously, we know a little bit about them. So there is something to keep an eye on. From all of us here in Baton Rouge, Kaluch, I want to thank you for returning Jimmy out safely to us after a week's worth of championship action. We're very relieved, that he was able to get home in time. So thanks for that. And we'll talk to you on Thursday. It's going to be a great tournament. Can't wait. Thanks for all that you do for us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, definitely, Charlie. Looking forward to it, and thanks for all you do as well. And enjoy the tournament. Let's pick some winners.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Let's do that. Starting at 5:40 today. Dwayne Colucci at the South Point and the Rampart. Back to wrap things up here. Hanny time. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny time.
Our lineup at Big Mike's is set for the weekend. First of all, got some more jitterbug lessons. This has been popular, man, out there. The Swamp Pop jitterbug lessons. Mario had to skip last week because he was doing a Pelicans game. He's back out there. He's getting better at this stuff. Billy Harris on stage right after that tonight. Tomorrow, Kyle Wilson. And on Saturday, Jovan Webb. Every day, live ball crawfish at Big Mike starting at 11 a.m. Listen, one of the great 2 days really to get out of work and maybe not go back for the afternoon is to go out for the NCAA tournament, start watching games. You get some hot ball crawfish, you get a cold one at Big Mike's. Just take the afternoon off on Thursday or Friday or both. Enjoy the college basketball action in the bar. Get you some hot ball crawfish and a cold beverage. Happy hour when you get into the second set of games. 3 to 7, Monday through Friday, and all day on Sunday starting at 11 a.m., where it'll be another full day of college basketball. Big Mike's on Aspen Boulevard in Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
The best kept secret.
For live play-by-play of the 2023 Men's NCAA Basketball Tournament. Thursday at 8 p.m., Friday at 6 p.m., Saturday at noon, and Sunday at 11 a.m. on your home for the 2023 Final Four. 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegrith on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford chat, Nelson says, Charlie, Will Wade's word was still ongoing. Something I'm getting tired of hearing, by the way. So something still isn't resolved, but he has nothing to lose until it's not ongoing, but LSU still does, right? No. The hay's in the barn as far as everything Wade has done and everything LSU has done. To my knowledge, every piece of documentation that they asked for has been delivered. Every interview, or at least the bulk of the interviews, have been done. We're just waiting on Hamlet to get off the dime. I mean, anything that happens from yesterday when Wade was hired until the ruling comes down is off of events and things that have already been decided. I don't think there's some smoking gun that's still out there. I mean, my goodness, this has been 4, almost 5 years now. So I don't think anything's going to change. And yes, both Wade and LSU still have skin in the game here. They've still got potentially penalties coming. It's just that based on the precedent of the other schools that have been penalized in this investigation, none of them have had any particularly sharp teeth. Now, there's a tape out there. There's a damn strong offer, okay? I mean, be on Will Wade's tombstone, won this many games, damn strong offer. I'm sorry, it's just how it is. Other coaches have probably said way worse, just didn't get on tape. No, it's not over. But the indications are that, hey, it's not going to be very much of anything. And the IARP has been particularly inept. If one committee's not doing the job, make another committee. They'll do it better. No, not so much. So if Will Wade does get a show cause, then McNeese, before he ever coaches a game, has got to go in front of the NCAA and say, why'd you hire this guy? Otherwise, we're going to penalize you. But again, all indications are that's probably not going to happen. McNeese certainly doesn't think so. LSU's still waiting. Thanks to everybody for participating. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.